guys, what's up? My name is Steve Bass, and welcome back to another episode of Back to School Sniping. Today I was supposed to be talking about sniper confidence, but instead I decided to talk about 1v1 engagements. So 1v1 engagements happen every single time you play Battlefield. Whether you are shooting at a person and he's shooting back, it doesn't really matter. That pretty much considers it, or I consider it, as a 1v1. Now, within this commentary, I'm going to be breaking up the 1v1 situations between the automatics and the bolt actions. So, the automatics consist of what? Carbines, assault rifles, LMGs, and PDWs, and kind of sort of the pistols in a way. But anyhow, those are the automatic groups. Now, of course, the bolt actions, well, they're bolt actions. You got the snipers and the magnums. Okay, so anyhow, when you are going into a 1v1 situation, there are two things that I usually keep in mind about every engagement that I try to initiate. One is judgment and two is execution. Now, execution is just getting the job done, but judgment has two subcategories that I would like to go into detail. So judgment, when I try to judge my opponent, basically I want to get an understanding on how good the opponent is. If the enemy that I'm trying to fight against isn't really that good, then that kind of boosts up my morale, and overall I get more confident in killing this person. So with judgment, you should always be thinking who initiated the fight and also who has the better accuracy. So for automatic rifles, the way that you can initiate or tell whether or not you have the advantage in the 1v1 is if you see the target first and he doesn't see you. Of course, this is kind of like a no-brainer that you should, oh, I already have the advantage because this guy's not looking at me. Well, given he's not looking at you, you should have an easy shot. But keep in mind, you want to make those shots count, because if you miss that easy shot, you're going to go on tilt and you're going to be really, really mad at yourself if you miss that easy shot. I mean, I'm pretty sure those of you who've watched my videos can see, the frustration that I go through if I miss an easy shot. I miss one shot after another, and then, I just get filled up with rage pretty much. Now, here is the part where you need to truly think about your engagements, is when you're at a disadvantage. Usually when you're at a disadvantage, that means the target has seen you first and he's automatically firing. These steps pretty much happen almost simultaneously, so going through the steps might sound easy, but when you're in a battle, it's actually quite hard to grasp every single step when it comes down to it. So when you're at a disadvantage, the first thing that you should keep in mind is getting to cover. Usually when you're in an automatic fight, you don't really want to shoot back at him. At least not quite yet. At your guys' level, I wouldn't really recommend shooting back instantly, mainly because you guys don't know the steps that I go through. So anyhow, getting to cover is probably going to be the best bet that you have when it comes down to you being at a disadvantage. If you do not know how to get to cover fast and efficient, I would highly recommend rewatching, I think it's episode 3, where I talk about strafing. There's a specific strafe in that episode where I demonstrate it called the jump strafe. And basically this strafe is what I use to get in and out of cover really, really fast, and overall it makes me a hard target to hit, and hopefully it'll increase my survivability. Now, once you're behind this cover, what this kind of does to the whole 1v1 engagement is it resets it. It pretty much just kind of negates what just happened, because for one, your opponent can't see you if you're behind cover, and two, you can't see you can't see him. So it's kind of like you're starting from scratch. But when you are behind cover, I find that when you initiate the cover maneuver, you have the advantage, because you can decide to poke out whenever you want to. Now, the only way that you can lose the advantage in this situation is if your target also goes into cover. So you got to keep that in mind. Usually when I'm behind cover and when I am at a disadvantage in a 1v1, I wait about 2 to 3 seconds. This is a good time to, shake off that suppression if you're fighting an LMGer. And also it gives you time to, think about what just happened. When you are behind cover, within those 2 to 3 seconds, you should be thinking to yourself, how accurate was my opponent? If your opponent didn't drop you within 2 to 3 seconds when he has, engaged you, he probably isn't the best of aim. Now, I'm not saying he's like a bad player. I'm just saying his aim wasn't on point at that moment. So with that in mind, you can say to yourself, oh, well, maybe this guy isn't as accurate as I think, and overall maybe I can, get the kill a lot easier. So after that 2 to 3 seconds, you can decide whether or not to re-peek that corner that you just went behind, or find a different angle to approach the situation. Now, when it comes down to bolt action riflers, there are two categories of bolt action riflers. There are the casual riflers, and then there are the aggressive recon bolt actioners. So let me quickly describe how you should approach the casual type. Now, the casual type players are more or less the people who like to sit in the back, kind of, wait it out a little bit, like to pick their own moments. I'm not saying that these guys are campers or anything like that. They just kind of like to take the game a little slower compared to, the other recons out there. Now, the same goes for the casuals. If you have the initiative, take your time, make sure the shot counts, because if you miss it, you're going to get mad. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, if you are at a disadvantage, usually they'll probably miss their first shot. They're really not that good at aiming at moving targets, so most likely you're going to be in a moving position. So if you're getting shot at by a casual sniper, you'll hear a whizzing bullet passing your head or something like that, and overall this kind of initiates the whole 1v1 engagement. First, you need to locate him, which is kind of obvious, and overall it shouldn't be too hard to locate this sniper, but overall once you have him locked onto your sights, I would highly recommend going into cover, because cover is your friend. I mean, there's nothing wrong with resetting the engagement, because who likes to be at a disadvantage? So like I said before, going into cover resets the engagement, and overall you can technically have the advantage. Now, when you are behind cover, I would say waiting 2 to 3 seconds to assess the situation. Tell whether or not you can snipe this target easily or not. Usually when I'm behind cover and I'm fighting against a casual player, I like to side strafe in and out of cover just to see if he's just waiting for me to peek out. If he's one of those snipers that is very patient and likes to pre-scope where I just went behind cover from, I usually like to take out this target extremely fast, because well, he's not going to be moving, and overall I can kind of pre-aim exactly where his head's going to be, and by the time I poke out, he won't have enough time to react in order to kill me. So that pretty much covers the casual part. The casual part really isn't as difficult as you might think. It's kind of easier, more or less. Even if you are at a disadvantage, and if you can get your shot off before he can, I'm pretty sure you guys can take him out. But anyhow, moving on to the more interesting part of the bolt action snipers is the aggressive recon. Now, there are 3 things to note when it comes down to aggressive recons. 1, they move a lot. 2, they like to shoot really, really fast. And 3, they are probably a little or a lot more smarter than your casual sniper. Now, like always, judging how well this aggressive recon is probably going to be your #1 priority, and the way you can judge them is by how accurate they are. Usually when I'm fighting against the aggressive recon, with air quotes, I like to let them shoot first. Most of the time when I do this, a lot of aggressive recons don't like to go for the kill shot, mainly because they're more focused on the speed aspect. They feel that if they get the hit marker, then they could just pull out their pistol, and then bam, 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 I'm dead, right? I mean, it's not a bad strategy, but overall it kind of takes an extra step that they don't necessarily need to do. So more or less, I can tank the shots, and then, gather that information from that first shot and, implement it into the 1v1 situation. So I might be saying miss as in completely missing, but I kind of mean both whether or not they missed the shot or if they hit me. If they hit me and they don't kill me, that counts as a miss to me, because they missed their chance to kill me. Anyhow, if they miss you, more or less going into cover again will reset your engagement. I'm sorry, this might sound very redundant, but overall it's kind of a repetitive cycle, and overall it gets the job done. Well, at least for me it does. So anyhow, when you're behind cover, instead of waiting 2 to 3 seconds, I would highly recommend waiting 3 to 4, even maybe 5 seconds. In this situation, a lot of aggressive reconers don't like to be patient. They like to be fast. They like to be, the assertive person. They don't like to wait around. So when you're behind cover for a longer period of time, this pretty much aggravates them, and it makes them more prone to making errors. Now, the main area that you should be focusing on is their charging error, meaning when they get so impatient they decide to charge you. This is probably going to be the most, I guess, telltale sign that they're doing a mistake. And the way that you can tell whether or not they're rushing you is by using, the motion sensors or the tugs or the MAV. I would highly recommend in this situation to toss down a motion sensor either towards where the enemy was or at your feet. It doesn't really matter. It kind of does the same thing. But more or less, when you notice that little Dorito chasing towards you, that is the time that you should pop out. In this situation, when the target is running straight at you, kind of making like a beeline where you were at, they don't have enough time, or most of the people don't have enough time to react when you pop around that corner, because you kind of have the element of surprise in a way. And overall, you outsmart the target, and he's in a running position, he can't shoot back at you, and then you can take the shot. Now in this situation, these shots are very intense and they are very hard to make while you are under this pressure. So if you miss the shot, you're fine. It's okay. You guys are still learning. Don't take it too hard on yourself, okay? Just try it again the next time you get the chance to, you know, engage with this aggressive reconner. And overall, I would say practice makes perfect. So that pretty much wraps up today's episode of Back to School Sniping. This was actually a very long episode. Within this video, I would like to thank Epic for helping me out within this video. He did a really good job as my test dummy. So good job, Epic. Anyhow, I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode, but for today's homework, what I want you to do is actually kind of simple. For your homework, I want you to practice these steps that I've had, and also I will put I think I'll try to put all the steps in the description below. But anyhow, I want you to practice these steps with a friend, basically doing one-on-one engagements, and then kind of go through your head how certain engagements play out. Like, you know, if he's using an automatic rifle, then you try to rethink of what I was talking about with automatic rifles, and so on, so on, so on. Now, I wouldn't recommend practicing this for more than maybe like 20 to 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes is actually pushing it. So maybe 20, maybe to 10. I don't know. Until you guys feel comfortable with this step and then you feel like you want to get into a game and try it out, then, you know, then by all means do that. But like always, if you have any other questions and or comments, go ahead and tell me in the comments section below. But like always, my name is T-Space, and I will catch you guys later.